Welcome to the Grateful Living Podcast. Hi, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the Grateful Living Podcast. Today's episode is one that really feels close to my heart, but also something I know so many of you will relate to. We're talking about this idea that's been sitting with me recently. To be loved is to be considered. And I really want to explore this, not just from an emotional point of view, but also from a psychological and nervous system perspective, so you can understand why this matters so much and why it can hurt so deeply when it feels like it's missing. Have you ever felt like people love you but they don't really consider you? Like you're in their life but you're not fully held in their mind. You're remembered but not deeply thought about. And it's not always big things, it's the little things. The small, almost invisible moments where you just know someone was thinking of you. When I say to be considered, I mean things like someone remembering something you mentioned in passing, someone anticipating your needs without having to ask, someone thinking ahead about what might make you feel comfortable, safe, or cared for. It's not loud, it's not performative, it's not grand gestures. It's thoughtful, it's quiet, it's consistent. And for a lot of us, that's actually what love feels like. This isn't just emotional, it's actually rooted in psychology. There's something called attachment theory, which basically explains how we learn what love feels like from a really young age. When we're children, we feel safe and loved when a caregiver is attentive, responsive, and consistent. Especially when they can anticipate our needs, not just reacting, but thinking about us ahead of time. That's where this idea of being considered really begins. Because when someone meets your needs in that way, your nervous system learns, I am important, I matter, I'm safe here. So when that's missing, even in adulthood, it can hit so much deeper than we expect. Because your brain isn't just thinking, oh, they forgot. Your nervous system is interpreting it as, I'm not important, I'm not being held in mind, I don't fully matter here. And that's why something that seems small, like someone not planning anything for your birthday, or not checking in on you, or not thinking ahead about your needs, can feel so painful. Because it's not about the event itself, it's about what it represents. There's also research around something called bids for connection. And this is the idea that relationships aren't built on big moments. They're built on small, repeated acts of connection. Little things like, I saw this and thought of you. Remembering something that matters to you. Checking in after something important. These moments tell your nervous system, you're seen, you're valued, you exist in my world, even when you're not in front of me. And over time, those small moments, they build emotional safety. I think for a lot of us, especially if we had to grow up a little bit faster or become independent quite early, there can be moments of grief around this. Not always big, obvious things, but for the small, everyday moments of being thought about. The kind of care that says, I didn't just respond to you, I considered you. And sometimes you don't even realise how much you needed that until you see it in other people's lives. Or until you notice its absence in your own. This is also why things like birthdays can feel triggering, because they become a kind of emotional mirror. They highlight who shows up, who plans, who thinks ahead, who considers you without being asked. And it can bring up feelings that aren't just about that day, but about a deeper need to feel seen, chosen, and held in mind. So if you're listening to this and thinking, yeah, this is me, I want you to know this isn't about being needy. This is you being human. Wanting to be considered is a core emotional need. So, if you're listening to this and you're recognizing yourself in it, if there's a part of you that feels a bit emotional or seen or even slightly uncomfortable, I just want to slow this down for a second and say there is nothing wrong with you for wanting to feel considered. That doesn't make you needy and it doesn't make you too much. It means your body knows what safety feels like and it's asking for more of it. And I think this is where a lot of us get stuck, because we become aware of the need, but we don't always know what to do with it. So we either push it down, tell ourselves it's not a big deal, or try to convince ourselves we don't need anyone anyway. But the truth is, you don't heal by abandoning the need. You heal by learning how to meet it in safe, supportive ways. So I want to give you a few supportive things you can do and come back to whenever this feeling shows up for you. Number 1, name the need. Start by being honest with yourself, even just saying, I want to feel considered. Let that be enough. You don't need to justify it or even minimize it, because the moment you name a need without shame, you stop abandoning yourself in it. Number 2, practice self-consideration. This one is really powerful. Start asking yourself small questions like, what would feel supportive for me today? What do I need this week? What would make things feel a little bit softer right now? And then this is the important part. Actually follow through on it, even in small ways, because what you're doing here is teaching your nervous system, I am someone who considers myself. I don't have to wait for someone else to meet this need. Number 3, raise your standards gently. Not everyone has been taught how to love in this way, but that doesn't mean you have to keep accepting relationships where you feel like an afterthought. Start noticing who checks in on you, who remembers the little things, who thinks about you without being prompted, and also notice who doesn't, not from a place of blame, but from a place of awareness, because awareness is what allows you to choose differently. Number 4, communicate when it feels safe. Sometimes people don't realize what matters to you, and it's okay to express that. Even something as simple as, it means a lot to me when someone checks in on me like that, or I really value thoughtfulness in relationships. The right people won't be put off by that. They'll meet you there. And I think what's really important to remember in all of this is that this isn't something you suddenly fix and then never feel again. This is something you begin to notice. You start noticing where you feel deeply considered and where you don't. You start noticing where your needs are being met and where you're quietly abandoning them. And over time, without force, without pressure, you start choosing differently. You start choosing people who think about you, who remember you, who hold you in their mind, not just in their presence. And at the same time, you become that person for yourself too. Because the goal isn't just to be considered by others, it's to build a life where you are no longer overlooking yourself in the process. To be loved is not just to be chosen, it's to be remembered in the quiet moments, to be thought about in the small ones, and to be considered even when you're not in the room. That's the kind of love that creates safety. That's the kind of love that builds connection. And that's the kind of love you truly deserve. Thank you so much for listening. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to share it or send it to someone who might need to hear it. Until next time, take good care. Thank you for listening to today's episode. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at @the_grateful_living.